He turned his focus to Apple, claiming the company was going to withhold Twitter from its Apple Store and asking if Apple hated free speech in America. And tweeting at Apple CEO Tim Cook asking what is going on here. Well, then later in the day, Musk teased that he will publish what he calls the Twitter files, claiming the public deserves to know what Twitter has done in the past regarding free speech suppression. And then finally, I'm sure there's going to be more, though, he posted and penned a tweet saying that this is the battle for the future of civilization. If free speech is lost, even in America, tyranny is all that lies ahead.
So glad we have our colleague and friend, Donny O'Sullivan, here with us to talk about all of I mean, where do you begin? And I mean, right, it's like you have to laugh because it's like, what else do you do? No CEO operates like this, but it's really scary. Is it not to see some of this stuff and the gun with what is going on?
A lot going on. Let's start with Apple, because that's what's really important here. The Apple App Store has a kind of quality control. So you can't just get any app on your phone. Apple vets the apps, one, to make sure there's not viruses in it that could be spying on us, but also to make sure that they don't have apps on their app store that promote hate speech or, dangerous misinformation. We saw Parler, which was a right-wing social media network, getting kicked off the app store for a while last year until they cleaned up their hate speech rules. I think Twitter, Elon Musk is concerned because he is taking down all the guardrails when it comes to the rules on the platform, that Apple might turn around and say, hey, we don't want you on our app store anymore. And if that happened and Twitter was essentially unavailable as an app within iPhones, that could be devastating for Twitter. One other important point when it comes to Apple, we learned yesterday that Apple has basically stopped advertising on Twitter. And the Washington Post reported that Apple in the first quarter of this year, was actually Twitter's biggest advertiser, spending $48 million in the first quarter alone. So you can also see another reason why Musk is taking issue with Apple.
Well, that's the thing here. Whether he's doing it, obviously, it's out of some desperation. If he's doing it for attention to try to get more eyes on Twitter. But the real issue, Donny, is that Apple's not the only one. Major advertisers are no longer advertising on Twitter, and that poses a huge problem beyond just Elon Musk for the company, the stability and the longevity of the company itself.
Absolutely. And look, speaking of kind of tearing apart the whole rule book that Twitter had these past few years, we just learned overnight, and I want to show you this screenshot from Twitter's website, they are no longer enforcing their COVID-19 misinformation policy. Since 2020, Twitter has been working. They were definitely not always perfect. There was a lot of misinformation about COVID, about the vaccines on the platform, but there was rules in place and policies in place. We learned that is no more. That is no longer happening at Twitter. And that, again, might be another reason why Apple might say, hey, we don't want you to have we don't want to have you on our App Store. Finally, under that policy, according to Twitter's own numbers, since 2020, Twitter suspended 11,000 accounts for sharing COVID misinformation. It's very possible that a lot of those accounts we're going to see coming back onto the platform. And one final thing, guys, the reason why I'm here in Florida, other than working on my tan, is that we're about to hear today from a Twitter employee, Yoel Roth, who was in charge of writing a lot of these rules. He left the company a few weeks ago. He basically couldn't work under Elon Musk anymore, and he's about to speak out at a conference here in Florida a little later today.